Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sonnet, the owner and creator behind Sonnet's Garden Blooms, and in today's video, today is day 18 of the 25 days of a handcrafted holiday. So I am tackling a project that I have wanted to do for a while. I just have not slowed down enough to do it for myself. So I have been spying other people, or I have been seeing other people over on the IOD Tribe using the frames molds to create ornaments, and I just loved that idea. And in today's video, I am going to show you how I created my own frame ornaments for my tree. And after I've done that today, I have so many more ideas of how I can use these. I am so excited, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys all think. To start the project, I did break out my two molds, frames 1 and frames 2, and you guys, these both are really darn amazing. Talking about amazing, I'm going to be using the amazing casting resin, and you do need to use equal parts of A and B, the solution. The working time is about 2 minutes, so you definitely want to work fast. I do use the silicone cup, which makes it really nice and easy. If you do look next to any of the molds, it is listed how many milliliters you will need. And the silicone cups do go up to, I believe, like 100 milliliters. So for instance, the two frames in the top one, if you added those together, it was 50 milliliters, and I mixed up 60 milliliters. So I was able to do the two frames plus a third one because I mixed up a total of 60 milliliters. So once you mix them up, I always take my mixing stick and I just make sure that it is completely mixed up, because I always pour in A first and then I pour in B. Once I have it mixed up, I just start pouring. So I do that to the top one, then I mix a secondary set of resin for the bottom frame, and I had a little bit left over, so I actually went back up to the top, and there's that tiny one way on the left. I used my excess in that one, so I ended up having 5 ornaments. It's so satisfying watching it as it turns white, and this roughly takes about 10 minutes, and I always just make sure that it is completely hard before I take them out of the molds. From the molds is super easy. I just pull it back a little bit and they pop right out. Now the 5th mold, which was the very last one that I poured, was just not ready to come out yet. It still felt like it was not completely hard, so I left it in there just to harden up a little bit longer, which is definitely okay, but these turned out so good and I am very excited to get going on this project. Typically, my Christmas tree is reds and whites, just real vibrant colors. This year, it's more neutrals. So I initially grabbed the Christmas Masterboard from Roycycled, and that's all those same colors that I've used in the past couple years. And because I'm going with more of a neutral palette, I went and I grabbed the neutral Christmas Masterboard. If you guys have yet to see this paper, it is pretty darn amazing. I only have, I think, 10 left out of all the ones that I ordered, and I will not be placing another order. So I think once they're out, unless it comes back again next year, I will be out, just so you know. But I am picking and choosing which images on this sheet that I'll be using. The first one that caught my eye was this owl, so I grabbed one of the frames that I thought would be perfect for it. I lined it up, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to cut all these images out. I settled on the largest frame for the owl because it's, I think, the largest vertical surface of all the frames. And I go in and I cut up. I don't want to ruin a lot of the paper, because that's the neat thing about these Masterboard papers, is that there's a lot of images jam-packed into one paper, so you can use them on a lot of different small pieces. I'm going to cut out just a little chunk and set that aside, fold this back up so that I can reuse it for future projects and obviously for the other frames today. But what we're gonna do is I take that little piece of paper, and you can almost see through it, but I try to line up exactly where I want it to place it in the frame. And then I just take my fingernail and I trace around the very edge of the frame. Typically what I do is I always leave like a little overhang on my decoupage paper, but because it's going to be tucked in the frame, I want to try to get it in as close as possible as I can. From there, I'm just going to take my scissors and I am going to rough cut it. And so I'm going to put the decoupage paper in, and then we're going to paint the frame. So even if there's a little bit of an overhang, the paint will cover that up. But so there you have it. I have it all cut out, and I'm going to just make sure that it is a good fit and it's looking pretty darn good, except I notice on the one side there's just a little bit too much of an overhang. So I trim that back, and now it's time to decoupage it in. This is going to be super easy, so you line it all up. What I like to do is just put down the full amount of liquid patina, which is my favorite decoupage medium. I make sure that I get it in to all the crevices also on the edges, and I just do a nice even coat of the liquid patina over the frame. Now it's time to apply the decoupage paper, and I try to line it up the best I can. I start on the bottom, and then I try to work from the center all the way around. That way it will eliminate as many of the wrinkles as possible, and with these little papers you don't get a lot of wrinkles anyway. And I just take my paintbrush and I just tuck it in to the very edges of the frame. That way when we go to paint the frame, it's all tucked in really nice and neat. I'm going to show you how I do the rest of these as well. So I decide this one, instead of the frame being vertical, I'm going to create it horizontal, and I found another bird. I love incorporating birds into my home decor and into my tree as well, and I think he is so cute. Now the frame is actually a little bit smaller than what he is, so I'm going to lose a little bit of his tail, but still you get the same effect. And I do the exact same thing that I did with the first one. I lay the little piece of paper out, I determine where I want him, and then trace around the edges. I cut off the excess, and then we decoupage him down just like we did with the first one, and it goes so quick and easy. For the third one, I found this little polar bear. I was kind of sad about cutting off his entire body, but I really liked how he was leaning over. There was a bit of a Christmas tree in there, and he fit perfectly in this round, or kind of like an oval frame. I do the exact same thing, and then he will be all set to go. For the fourth frame, I did find this cute little bunny rabbit, and again, I'm doing the exact same thing, just lining them up, trying to get as much of the image in the frame as I possibly can, using my nail, tracing the very edges, cutting away the excess, and again, decoupaging him in. Now that they are all dry, that is the key, is you definitely want to make sure your decoupage paper is dry before you move on. So that this is dry. What I am using is weathered wood from DIY Paint, and I thought it was the perfect color. I've been kind of obsessed with this color lately. I like how dark and rich it is, and so what I'm doing here is I am just trying to get into all the detail of the frames. That is one really, when I said they were amazing, you guys, they are amazing. There is so much detail in all of these frames, and so you definitely want to get into all that detail so you don't see the white. What I was struggling with is I wanted a really nice clean line around the very edge of the frame. In the end, I actually ended up getting more of a detailed paintbrush, and I went around and I basically detailed around the very edge, then used this paintbrush to get into all that detail. This only took one coat of paint. DIY paint is heavily pigmented, so it did not take a lot for this dark color. I applied one even coat to all the fronts of the frames, and then I went back after it dried, and then I finished off the back. Now these are going to be hanging on my Christmas tree, so I definitely wanted to finish off the back side as well. The frames are finally dry, and now I'm going in with Big Top and sealing the DIY paint. Anytime you use DIY paint, it can be reactivated with water, so you definitely need to seal it with a top coat, whether that be Big Top, a poly, you can use wax. I have decided to seal it with Big Top, and then we're going to go back in and use the gold gilding wax. The reason I chose the gold gilding wax is because my tree is full of all kinds of neutrals. I've used gold, rose gold, and this is going to be perfectly tied into my tree. Plus, you guys, look at all the detail in this frame. That gold gilding wax is just going to make all that detail completely pop. I let them all dry, and now it's time to punch a hole in each of these frames. And if you can see in the upper right hand corner, I do have like a hole punch for paper. These frames are a little bit too thick for the hole punch, and so I have this other very industrial hole punch that I use for my leather cuffs, and that is what we're going to use today. With this hole punch, you can actually punch all different size holes, which makes it perfect for any type of jewelry making that you're doing as well. What I'm going to do here is I chose a punch or a hole that is going to allow me to get ribbon through it, but not be too big or too small. Now that I got the punch in place, I just need to figure out where I want to place my hole. I think that was the hardest part, was really just determining where I wanted it. And once I did that, then you just punch, and there you have it. And it's the perfect size hole for the ribbon that I'm going to use. I feel so fortunate that I had this industrial hole punch available, because when I started this project, I really thought I was going to punch these holes with that paper punch. So this worked out perfect, and I will have the link in the description if you guys are interested in this hole punch for this purpose or for even any type of jewelry making. It really works excellent. So now let's go ahead and we are going to get some ribbon on these ornaments. Before we add the ribbon, we definitely need to add the golden rule, which is the gilding wax that I was talking about from DIY Paint. And this has definitely been one of my go-to waxes. I love how it just brings out all the detail of whatever project you're working with. So I dry brush it on, and I don't go on super heavy at all, just rub it in, and then I take a piece of paper and I rub off the excess. And as I'm looking at this, this is exactly the look I was going for. I love how the weathered wood has that dark undertone, and then that golden rule or the gilding wax just brings out all that detail. It's gonna look perfect with my Christmas tree ornaments. So now I'm thinking I better start pouring some more so that I can add a few more of these to my tree. This whole process is so quick. It's very easy to just put the wax on, wipe the excess off, and I do that to all the ornaments. And then now we're gonna add that ribbon, you guys. I have been slightly obsessed with this black velvet ribbon that I had found at Hobby Lobby. I've been using it on all my ornaments, and as I grabbed it, I am really sad to say that I only have enough to use on 2 of these ornaments. and I called over there. They will be getting possibly more in on Wednesday with their shipment. So unfortunately, I was only able to add the ribbon to 2 of these, but you guys, they look so good, and I am so happy with how these turned out. I hope you enjoyed today's video and were inspired to use the frames mold to create something of your own, whether it be an ornament for your tree or something else. So I have another idea for those frame molds, you guys, and I am going to be breaking those out in an upcoming video in the new year. So definitely be watching for that. There are so many uses and possibilities for those frame molds, and I love them. All right, well, I hope you guys have been enjoying the 25 days of a handcrafted holiday. I have been putting out short form videos in between these long videos. So definitely go out there and check that out. I also have a playlist listed Handcrafted Holiday. So if you want to see them all, they are all listed in one spot for you. All right, well, you guys have yourselves a great week, and I have another video for you then on Friday. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you then. Bye.